Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. You guys have requested that I look at the Israeli surface vessels in sea power. I figured circa 1960 to 1985, which is roughly the era that sea power covers, Israel's main naval threat would be Egypt and Syria. So today, Egypt and Syrian vessels versus Israeli vessels. And I love doing battles like this, viewers. It's not going to be a very realistic battle, obviously, but I like doing them because we get to learn about the history of the vessels. Most of these vessels I've never even heard of, and I love doing the more modern battles. They're kind of VLS Iowa and the Arleigh Burke and stuff like this, but I also secretly love these 1960s, 70s and early 80s battles in core game sea power because there's so much to learn. So first of all, we need to learn about those vessels. Let's start with Israel, shall we? What I'm doing is I'm just taking one of each class of vessel per country. Israel in sea power have 7 classes of vessels, so 7 vessels. Syria has 4 plus 6 for Egypt, so a total of 10 for Egypt and Syria. So let's start with the Israeli Aliyah class. This is a missile boat, a large missile boat at 500 tons with an impressive speed of 33 knots. Her main armament is going to be the American-supplied early model of the Harpoon, which we all know about, anti-surface, range 65 nautical miles. Her secondary weapon I've never heard of, Gabriel or Gabriel 2. It's a semi-active radar homing anti-surface missile. Now it's semi-active radar homing as opposed to the active radar homing of the Harpoon, which means that this missile is going to have to be guided by the firing ship's radar all the way to target. So that's going to be interesting. Speed 470 knots, range about 20 nautical miles. I've never fired one and I look forward to using it. Also, on the bow, an American Mark 15 20mm sea width, so she's pretty well defended for a missile boat. And I've just spotted down here aircraft MD-500. Wow, I didn't notice that before. So it actually it's a missile boat with a helicopter on board. And that helicopter has a BGM-71. What the deuce is that? A wire-guided... Oh, it's a tow missile. Well, you know what? I had absolutely no ambition of using helicopters in this because I didn't know any of these ships would have helicopters, but they do. So why don't we try using it? I'll take it off from the Aliyah and we probably won't do anything, but we'll see. Well, that's a pretty good start. A missile boat with a freaking helicopter on board. Next is the Het class, similar hull at 500 tons, or maybe the same hull, 33 knots. Again, we have the obligatory harpoons. We have Gabriels. I don't know how many of the Gabriels they've got, by the way. We'll find out when we have a look in 3D. Again, 20 miles range. This one, instead of the helicopter, it looks like it has a naval gun, a Mark 75 76mm, range 9 nautical miles. That may come in handy today, we'll see. On the stern and on the bow, we have the same Mark 15 Sea Whiz and no helicopter. Then we have the Shahs. There are 4 different types of Shahs. In fact, the Aliyah and the Hets are Shahs as well, really. I believe they are Shah hulls or in some way related to the Shah type. The Shah 1, a missile boat. This is 206 tons. And it says missile boat, but it doesn't have any missiles, which is interesting. It has a American Mark 46 anti-submarine torpedo, which we all know about, range 8 nautical miles, so an early block, and a bunch of 40mm Bofors. So, not sure how useful SAR 1 is going to be, but we'll see out of interest. Built in Cherbourg for the Israeli Navy, these fast patrol boats were based loosely on the German Jaguar class. An initial group of 6 boats was ordered in 1965 with an armament of Bofors and torpedo tubes and provision for sonar. Oh, right. Okay, well, that's SAR 1. Now, obviously, Israel has no use for a blue water navy, so it's all about literal defense. Missile boats and patrol boats. SAR 2, I suspect these are going to be relatively similar. 250 tons, 40 knots. Wow, 40 knots. Sorry, let me just go back and check SAR 1. 40 knots, so it's a torpedo boat that's 40 knots. I actually see some use for that in simulating some other attacks I want to do. Right, I've just bookmarked that in my ever-failing brain. SAR 2, 250 tons, 40 knots again, so impressive speed. Based around Gabriel 2, not sure how many, 20 miles range, and also a Breda 40mm autocannon. Never heard of that before. Right, so that's a true missile boat version of the SAR. Next, we have SAR 3, which is 250 tons, 40 knots. It's the same as the 2, but it has a Mark 75 naval gun on the bow. Wow, look at the size of the naval gun compared to the ship. It's a Mark 75. Is that the same gun on the Oliver Hazard Perry? I'm not sure. Range 9 miles. Next is SAR 4. Oh, this is bigger. So this is presumably the hull of the Elia and the Het from the SAR 4. 450 tons. 40 knots, so incredibly impressive 40 knots. Gabriel 2, Mark 75 gun, also anti-air Oerlikon 20mm. Designed for Nukular based on Israel's experience with the earlier Cherbourg-built SARs, so SAR 1 to 3. SAR 4 was a class of 19 vessels built for the Israel and South Africa. These vessels are heavily armed for their size and were first put in test in the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Oh, it's got 2 naval guns. 1 aft, 1 bow. 1 stern, 1 bow. Wow, that really is heavily armed. You know what? These aren't the biggest vessels in the world, and again, they don't need to be because it's mainly littoral, right? But that is a really impressive missile boat, in my opinion, for the time. Next, we have... maybe strangely, an ex-British destroyer. The British, historically, have had massive navies, not so much anymore. And if the ships got old and they weren't decommissioned and scrapped, they were sold abroad, and loads were sold abroad. In fact, British vessels have even fought other British vessels from other countries. Argentina in 1982 went to war, essentially, with Britain, and they were fighting us with British ships. In fact, their aircraft carrier, an ex-Colossus class carrier, was British. Bought from Britain, so it's so weird how that works out, right? This is an ex-World War II destroyer. We had loads of World War II destroyers and we had to get rid of them, sell them or scrap them, obviously. It's World War II tech, pre-missile era, probably not much use today, but it's 2,500 tons, 32 knots, based around the British Mark 9 torpedo, which I'm reading about at the moment. Anti-surface, question mark? Yeah, anti-surface, so it's an old-style destroyer. It has 4.5-inch guns, loads of them, and some Bofors 40mm general purpose as well. And that is 1960 to 1985, according to Sea Power, Israeli Navy. Obviously, I'm just doing one of each class. I'm not doing a full representation. We're not looking for realism here. We're looking for learning and having some fun. Next is Egypt and Syria. We'll start with Syria. Obviously, Syria and Egypt were allied with the Soviets, or friends with the Soviets in the Cold War, so I expect to see a lot of Soviet boats here, but we'll see. First is going to be Syria, Osa class. Popular Soviet missile boat, 210 tons, max speed, very impressive, 38.5 knots. Based around, of course, the Styx, the SSN-2, which is a fast but still subsonic anti-ship missile, I suppose not dissimilar in a way to the Harpoon, although its flight profile is a little different. Range, much less than Harpoon, much older, more simple missile, 22 nautical miles. Active radar homing, again, like the Harpoon, it has its own missiles, does not have to be guided by the mothership. And we have Sea Whiz. I don't know a lot about the Sea Whiz. It's what I would describe as the old-style Soviet Sea Whiz. 2-barreled, 30mm. Don't know if they're any good. I guess we'll see. 2 turrets, 1 bow, 1 stern. That's the Osa. Of course, Syria's Osas that we're looking at now have just been destroyed a few days ago by Israeli F-35s, which bombed them in the Syrian harbour when Assad was removed from power. So these don't exist anymore, but it's amazing that they existed all the way to 2020, end of 2024. Next, we have Soviet P-6. It's a patrol boat, and it is also a torpedo boat with the 53-56 torpedo anti-surface, 4.5 miles, I guess similar to the British Mark 9. And we've got a 25mm, a twin-barrel 25mm cannon. Probably no use today, I don't know, but what's impressive is 47 knots. You never know, 47 knots might be useful today, 77 tons. Next, we have our first frigate. Actually, this may be a corvette. I think it still classifies as a frigate. Correct me if I'm wrong. Soviet, of course, Patriot 3. Pretty successful anti-submarine frigate/corvette. It's anti-submarine, so probably not much use today. We've got the RBU, of course, the Soviet ASROC anti-submarine, Set 65 anti-submarine torpedo. Pretty good torpedo. For surface, AK-726 76mm naval gun, 2 turrets of. Probably not much use today then. Next, a patrol boat, a Zhuk, Soviet, again, no surprise, and all it's got is a couple of turrets of 14.5 5 machine gun / cannon. On to Egypt, we have the Mole class, and this is the first time I've seen. Oh, it's a Syrian, right. So this is Soviet as well. Oh, and all it's armed, 161 tons, nearly 40 knots, and all it's armed with is 2 turrets of 30mm Seawers. That's an interesting design. Soviets really relied on their AK-230s and 630s, didn't they? Alright, so that literally is a patrol boat. Probably not much use today, we'll see. Next we have a OSA, which is the same. Obviously, Egypt and Syria had OSA 1s. Next we have a P6, which we've already seen as well. It's the same patrol boat / torpedo boat. Next, we have another Syrian. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, viewers. And this variant has... this is the MLRS variant, viewers. So it has Grad BM-21 non-guided multiple rocket cells on them with a range of 21 miles. So that may actually come into play today. We'll have to see. Interesting. And it has its Seawers as well. Next, we have another Syrian, our third type of Syrian today. And this is going to be the torpedo variant with a 53-38 torpedo, range 5.5 miles, and a couple of Seawers as well. So lots of Syrian today, viewers. And finally, the British will do anything for a buck, viewers. So yet again, we've sold another Z class. And it's the same Z class, essentially, other than the name of what we saw before. So today is 7 Israeli types, 6 SAR hulls, and 1 ex-British World War II destroyer against Egypt and Syria, 10 mixed Soviet missile, torpedo, and MLRS boats, as well as patrol boats. And again, strangely, the same old World War II British destroyer. In terms of the fight, we're fighting just off the coast of Haifa, off Israel here. Israel are defending a kind of silly fictitious fight. Our fight distance today is going to be 20 miles, viewers. I vary it depending on the fight that we're going to do. If they're long-range Tomahawk fights, then I put them at 100 miles or over 200 miles. If it's tactical, then all the way up to 400 miles. If it's kind of frigate up to cruiser, then I do about 50 miles because it suits those weapons, and because this is mainly missiles of a range of around 20 miles, then I'm doing this at 20 miles. There's not much point in putting this at 50 miles because only one side would even be able to fire at that range. So 20 miles should give us a nice fight. Before we go any further, let's just have a quick whiz round in 3D, and it's just interesting to look at the vessels in 3D, viewers. Starting with Israel, we have the Elia, or the Shah 4.5, I think they call it. Oh, I was wrong, only 4 harpoons, so I assumed 8, but actually it's 4, obviously quite a small vessel. In terms of the Gabriels, there they are in these little cells, and there are 4 of them as well. Okay, they've really squeezed a lot of stuff into this vessel. The MD-500 is in there, Seawiz at the front. All in all, pretty impressive little vessel that is. Presumably that's the chaff launcher there. Next is the Het, so again, SAR 4.5 hull. Now this one does have 8 harpoons, so they've squeezed more harpoons in. Interesting. Also, the Gabriels, we've got them here, and it's 6 of them. So, remove the helicopter, put more missiles in. Interesting. We've got the naval gun at the aft here, and the Seawiz on the bow here. And I think those are the chaff launchers, or maybe there. I don't know, viewers, you know more than me. Next, the old SARs 1 to 4. And if you haven't noticed already, viewers, I'm sure you have, I'm very much learning as we go, which is what makes this so interesting for me. Torpedo tubes, Mark 46. Oh, look at them at the back. They just pop off the end there. And 1, 2, 3 turrets of single-barreled 40mm autocannon. Very good. Interestingly, it doesn't have any countermeasures, so I'm not sure what these are here for. Flares, maybe? Let me know your thoughts, viewers. SAR 2. Wow, that is a heavily armed ship. 8 Gabriels. Interesting. 1 single-barreled 40mm. And this has got chaff. So presumably those are the chaff launchers there. Interesting. Next we have SAR 3. 6 Gabriels, all pointing backwards. Okay, interesting. We have a massive 76mm gun for the size of that vessel. It's going to really rock the vessel, that is. It has chaff, and it has apparently 20mm. Where's the 20mm? Am I blind, or is there no 20mm on there? I guess I'm blind. It says 20mm. Okay, I don't know what to say about that. Invisible 20mm, or I'm blind. SAR 4, we have... Wow, that's interesting. 7 Gabriels. Why 7? Alright, fine. They just weld them in wherever they can, I guess. And they got the 76mm gun. Again, 20mm. I just cannot see it. It must be there. I must just be blind, viewers. Oh, there! Found it! 20 mil. That's a small 20 mil, isn't it? Zap, 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 zap. So I'm guessing that's for friggin' against speedboats and stuff like that. Wow, and look at that. Look how heavily armed that is. For a 250-ton vessel, 7 massive anti-ship missiles, plus 2, you know, naval guns, the size that you'd have on a American frigate, plus 2 20mm guns, plus offensive ECM, plus 70 chaffs. That's a real beast. I'm liking Israeli Navy, viewers. They just add everything to everything. Then we got the old British destroyer, which is obviously just an old destroyer. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches, some Bofors, and some torpedoes, which are amidships. How interesting. Let's go look at the Soviet stuff. It's a Syrian flag, and that's an OSA. Is that an OSA 1, I think, viewers? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Styx missiles. So bigger, very old, very limited capability anti-ship missiles. I guess it's the equivalent of the Gabrielle, but the Gabrielle needs to be guided all the way. It needs line of sight, whereas these don't need line of sight. So twin-barreled Seaways there, and that's it. OSA. Next is the tiny torpedo / patrol boat P6. 2 torpedoes, and 1, 2, 3, 4 25mm gun / cannon. Next, the Patriot 3, very much anti-submarine. It's ASROC. Where is this ASROC? There it is, at the front there. 2 naval gun turrets, each with twin 76mm. So 4 76mm cannon. If they can get within range, that could be deadly. And 3 torpedoes. Amidships. Next is Zap. Tiny little speedboaty doodah. Sorry, viewers, I can't remember what it's called, but it's that one there, the last Syrian one, and it has 2 14.5mm guns there. Next we have, I know this hull type, this is a Syrian. I've used these loads of times, sorry for the pronunciation. And this is the one that just has 2 twin 30mm Seaways there and there. Next we have OSA, which I've realised is very similar hull design to the Syrian. I wonder if it's the same hull, viewers. Let me know your thoughts there. We know all about the OSA. Next is that one there, the P6 we know about. Next is another Syrian, and this is the MLRS variant, my favourite variant, because look, they've basically just put BM-21 Grad sails on there, which tilt up and just fire randomly at the enemy. Probably very ineffective, but also kind of cool. Syrian again, the torpedo variant with 4 torpedoes, and finally we of course have the ship. Viewers, we have to make a prediction. What's going to win? 10 of these vessels or 7 of the Israeli vessels? I've absolutely not run this through. We did not script the battles for YouTube views, as you know by now, so we'll just see what happens. So let's try and make something intelligent here. We've got a couple of vessels here with harpoons, which is going to be the best missile here, but there's only 2 ships, and one of them only has 4, and I'm not sure they're going to be smart enough to divide their targets up properly. So I really don't know. The other ships, the SARs, some of them aren't even really armed in terms of what we care about. Some of them are with Gabrielles, but they need line of sight. I'm worried they won't be able to fire at 20 miles, or I'm pretty sure they won't be able to fire at 20 miles, and then that, for what it's worth. Whereas the Soviet ships have 2 OSAs, they also have MLRS, and a mix of other stuff and torpedoes. Oh, viewers, I don't know. I think it's got to be Israel. I think those harpoons are just so good. It's such a step up above anything else. America's harpoon was really brilliant. I'll probably let the Reds fire slightly earlier, just so we can see them fire, and then we'll jump straight back to Israel. Stand by. Right, let's jump back and fire at will. Off they go. Harpoons out. Oh, pause. I forgot about the helicopter. Oh no, I can't do the helicopter. I can't do the helicopter. Look, it doesn't have a helicopter sign, viewers. It appears I can't use the helicopter. Oh, well, there you go. Never mind, no helicopter. Not that it was going to make any difference. Sorry about that. Right, Elias firing at her harpoons. Her sister, Hetz, is firing at her harpoons. No Gabrielles being launched, viewers, presumably because we simply don't have line of sight yet. We're going to need at least radar line of sight to fire them. I assume that's the limiting factor here. We'll see. Today is obviously a non-tactical battle, viewers. Everyone can see everyone because that's the fight we want today. How many harpoons have been fired? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Probably all of them because there's 12 in total. Yes, all 12 harpoons fired. That's a good start. How well are they going to be fired? Well, you can see here they're targeting all ships apart from the Z-class, which they don't see as a threat. And even the Z-class is now being targeted, so presumably everything's about to get blown up because there's not much they can really do to stop a 1960s harpoon, 1970s harpoon. There are the hostile missile pause. Hostile missiles are coming in now. We've got the Styx missile, much inferior missile to the harpoon, bigger, but older tech. Look how high it flies, 300 feet, whereas the harpoon is flying at 50 feet, so big difference in doctrine there. Loads and loads of them out. I think they've got 8 question mark? Yes, 8 sticks. Already been fired at. It's all going to happen at once. So we've got Gabrielle's being fired for the first time. Wow, that's low. 6 feet, that can't be right. Look at that, Gabrielle 2, flying at 6 feet apparently, which seems a little unrealistic to me, but I don't know anything about it. What do I know? Lots going to happen at once here, viewers. It's a very quick battle with lots of firepower. First harpoons going in. Soviet Sea Whiz out, Chaff out. Quick pause, let's have a look how the Styx are doing. Much easier targets to the Israelis. American Sea Whiz out. And they've fallen for the Chaff and been blown up. So yeah, much easier targets. Faster than the harpoons, but much easier to kill. The harpoons doing their thing now. Harder to fool, better seeker heads. Oh, we got it! Oh, but the other one got through. Only really. An Israeli ship is down. 2 Syrian ships down. Let's have a quick pause to see where we are. So all of the Styx that were fired, all but one were shot down or duped. One got through and it hits this, the SAR 4 class. And obviously any hits today will immediately destroy the ship because of the size of these ships. So interesting. But we've got many more harpoons on the way. This one here took out an Osa. That one there just got taken out. That one, oh yeah. Well, that shows the difference between a harpoon and a Styx, viewers. One of the Styx got through. Almost all of the harpoons, and they're still coming. Just superior. Oh, even the bloody Z got taken out. It's just such a better weapon, and I really didn't think it would be that good, but it really was. Here come the Gabrielles, which again I've never seen before. But that must be impossible to stop, viewers. Poor old Z class, thumping its 4.5 inches. Someone got it, a Sea Whiz or something got it. Another one coming, so you can be shot. Its only problem appears to be its speed. 470 knots is very fast. It's faster than my car, but it's vulnerable to cannon. Sea Whiz coming out. Surprised a radar could see that, to be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Israel's Gabrielle, question mark. Ah, it missed. Well, I did say it was the first time I've used it, viewers, and I wasn't lying. Right, let's have a pause. Israel lost SAR 4, but everything else is untouched because the American Sea Whiz was very good, and the Styx, presumably, is just much easier to shoot down, as we showed. Left on the Egyptian Syrian side, there's more missiles coming out, is what's left of a British destroyer. Can't click on it, so what's that there? It is the torpedo Syrian. That's got a long way to go to get in range. We also have P6 torpedo. Yep, that's not going to be much use. And finally, a P6 torpedo. So they've very cunningly taken out the ones that they considered the biggest threats, the missile boats basically, and they've left some torpedo boats which they know they can just snipe them. With Gabrielle, if it tracks, which it may not. Going to finish off the British destroyer. Is he going to hit this time? It doesn't really matter because it appears the destroyer is sinking. Oh, it missed! And that one missed too. Oh, there you go. Israeli tech, not so good by the looks of it, viewers. Right, let's see how many missiles they've got. He's got 5 Gabrielles. He's got 8 Gabrielles. They've got loads. They got loads of munitions. This is a one-way fight, viewers. afraid to say, if you're Egyptian, if you're Syrian. Interesting that they're not firing anymore, probably because these vessels are too small to get a radar lock on. That's probably why they fired at the destroyer, because it was big and they could see it over the horizon. Remember, this is way over the horizon, 20 miles is way over the horizon. So we've probably got to wait until they get over the horizon to see the small vessels. It's also nice to see a battle going past the initial barrage of missiles, very rarely nowadays, because stuff's so... Wow, what was that? Oh, that was the Gabrielle. That was the Gabrielle firing there in extreme fast motion. Oh, this one's much lower. It's higher, sorry. 130 feet. Interesting. I guess it's basically like firing an AIM-7 Sparrow at something, right? Boom. Boom. Well, they work. This one's got a sea whiz. No, it hasn't. Boom. Yep. Oh, there you go, viewers. Israel was just absolutely superior in every way. Defense, better. Offense, better. You would have to put a lot, I think, of Egyptian and Syrian vessels in there to make a real dent in the Israeli side. So that was pretty conclusive. Welcome in, viewers. At the end of these battles, they're not realistic anyway, so we like to do a guns battle just for the lols. Who's going to win? Well, it's got to be the Reds, right? They've got more ships, it's guns now, and they've got bigger guns, I think. So, presumably, the Reds. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Those 30mm Seawares always do so... Oh, as you can see there, look how much damage the 30mm Seawares are doing. Absolutely chewed the Israelis up. So if those Reds could have got in range, I think that was always a one-way battle. Although the Reds are starting to go down now. We don't know, viewers. No one's actually... Oh yes, the only dead ones so far are the Reds. Maybe Israel will survive. So Gabrielle, whatever. Well, I remember Israel had plenty of 75mm gun. The 75mm gun is easily enough to sink one of these. So maybe that's what won it, the 75mm gun. Also, the Gabrielle missile appears to be fireable from long distances. Short distances. Patriot 3 down. Well, Israelis win again. Who would have thought, viewers? Seawares just smashing this one up, look. Seawares absolutely do damage ships. I mean, you're not going to sink one, but... Oh, that will sink it. Deary me. Only one red vessel left. It is the Patriot. The only frigate here, or corvette. Oh, look at the 75mm raining down on it. It's dead, it's sunk. That's it, they're all dead. To not a single Israeli loss. Unbelievable, viewers. Oh look, and the Z class was just smashing away all that time. It's 4.5 inches, which is the biggest gun here, isn't it? That's 112 mil. 112 mil been smashing up from this guy. But that said, they've got their own Z class. So what killed that Z class? It must have been a harpoon. In that case, I don't know what they're still firing at, by the way. What are they still firing at? There's nothing far out. Let's just see how many of the Israelis sink now. Oh, there's an Osa! I didn't see him. Yeah. Why didn't Osas fire? I think there's a minimum range for these old Soviet missiles, so they just couldn't even fire. Look, there's some red missiles, some red torpedoes, being absolutely useless. We've lost a SAR! The old SAR 1, it was useless anyway, so... Well, the Israelis took an immediate smashing, as you saw. They're all full of, big holes and stuff. But most of them could still fight. Look at that. Oh, look, his Gabrielle was about to come out and never came out. I am popping out. I want to come out, but I can't because I've got nothing to shoot at. SAR 3 was untouched. Yeah, so they took a bit of a pounding, but... all but one survived, and absolutely pacing. Well, it appears, viewers, in core game at least, Israel's Navy smashes the equivalent type class matchup of the Egyptian and Syrian navies. I hope you enjoyed that, and bye-bye.